Welcome back to Squid Game Theory, and today we're going to be going over Season 4, Episode 4. Now, if you don't remember how the previous episode went around, basically it ended off with the next game being revealed as Capture the Flag. So today, we're going to be continuing with that cliffhanger of Capture the Flag beginning. So, Squid Game 404, Capture the Flag. Inho puts his hand into the ball of balls and takes out 2. Inho says Team 3 and Team 30. So we'd have the full gameplay of them just for you guys, just for you people to get the idea of what the game is. And then there'd be a winner. So I haven't really picked in this case who would win. Maybe it was, say it was 3-2 to the Team 3. Therefore, Team 30 got eliminated. Inho draws again, Team 2 and Team 19. A montage from drawing and captures happening. Deaths occur in every round. If you lose, you die. You can also be killed by the opposite team. The montage is long until there are the final 2 teams. Inho says, Team 16 and Team 17. Of course, it's our main character's team versus one of the villains' teams. So in this case, we don't actually have all the villains working together in this season. There's 3 separate villains, and they're all in separate area, like they're all separate groups. They've all made their own separate groups with the 88. They've all made separate groups with the 210 remaining. So both teams go 1-1. It gets to both teams having each other's flag, but you can't score if your flag isn't at your base. So the villain goes up to one of our alliance, has the flag, he breaks his neck, which kills him, recapturing the flag to score the second point. Peter is infuriated and he goes after the villain. Peter brutally murders him with a stick of bamboo. Peter then rushes for our flag and captures it, making the score 2-2. Joe gets the flag and runs, but the opposite team chase behind him. Peter sprints to save him. The other 4 in the alliance still alive rush to Peter's side. They hold off the opposing team in time for Joe to capture the final flag. Suddenly, the opposite team fall to the ground. Gun wounds to the back. They lost. They got eliminated. The players are taken back to the quarters. The alliance sits in silence, mourning the loss of the fallen player. They feel awful because they all agree to stick together right into the end. They feel like they had failed him. Peter sits alone in the corner, thinking about the brutal murder he did, thinking that it wasn't him, and he was confused what brought him to do it. Joe comes and sits next to him. Joe says, "You didn't mean it. The sudden rush of grief makes anyone do anything. And, if anything, you've avenged the fallen ally." Peter doesn't respond. The doors open. Inho walks in with soldiers behind him. Inho says, "I will now reveal the results of the second game." During the game, 122 players were eliminated, meaning 88 players survived, meaning the prize pool now sits a whopping $3.6 million. We're getting into really big numbers here. With an equal split to the remaining 88, it would be $41,818. Now we will proceed with the voting to decide if you want to continue. Voting montage. Drum roll, please.
majority of the players have voted to terminate the game.
We get a majority to leave the games. We're going home, ladies and gentlemen. They've done it. They've got their majority. Inho says, 61 players have voted to end the games, and 27 have chosen to continue the games, which means with a majority vote, the game will end. You'll be soon transported back to your pickup location. All goes black. Suddenly, we are back in the car park. Peter opens his eyes. He and the four are tied up next to each other. Peter realizes Joe isn't with them. Peter and the others work together to untie each other, and then he lets them in his van. They drive around the city looking for Joe, and find him alone. He gets in the van, and Peter drives to a bar. They all get drinks and sit around a table. Peter says, "So, they didn't say when we would get our cash?" Ally 1 says, "I bet it was all a big scam." Fades to black. End credits. I hope you guys really enjoy this video. I know this video is surprisingly shorter, considering it had a game in it, but that's because you can't really do much for the games. Maybe, like, I suppose, lengthening it out, we could stop the montage partway through for other teams that we've seen across the show so far, which could make it lengthen out. But I even think with that, you could easily get maybe a 50 to an hour a minute episode. 50-60 minute episode, which would be pretty standard for Squid Games, if I'm being honest. I know some of the episodes, especially the next one, should go over an hour. Fingers crossed, in terms of what the content of the episode is. So, they're all back in the real world now. Will they get their money? And of course, this isn't the end, so how do they go back to the games when they've got their money and it's a majority split? This is a completely different playing field to how the first season was. So the question is, do they get back to the games? And if they do, how do they do that? So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in a couple of days' time for the next episode inside of Squid Games Season 4.